Yesterday I put out a video on synesthesia that is all about different ways that brains process information, process visual cues, sounds. You know, we get our sensory modules a little bit mixed up together when people have synesthesia. And it also really helps a lot of people with memory because they're able to associate letters, numbers, words, sounds, images, and whatnot with other things. And it got me started thinking about some really cool memory hacks that I learned when I was a kid that I thought I could pass on to you. So when I was a kid, I found this ad in a magazine somewhere for this super memory system thing. And somehow I saved up some money and I bought it, and it was probably through the mail. This was way back when. And it came to me, and this is so old school. I still have it in my room, my old room at my dad's house. But it's this package that has all these, it's like 12, maybe 14 cassette tapes, which I don't even have a way of playing now. And I'm ashamed to say I didn't actually get all the way through it, but the things that I learned from it, I've carried with me for the rest of my life, and that doesn't mean that I now have this amazing memory these days. It's something that I need to be practicing a lot more. There's a really quick and easy way to memorize, say, a grocery list of things. This works amazingly well. When you try it yourself, you will literally be like, I cannot believe I just did that, because not only can you memorize a very long list of things, but you can remember it forwards and backwards. Like, that doesn't matter at all. So here's how it goes. If you're memorizing or need to memorize an entire list of things, again, like a grocery list, what you do is you create a combination of each item in an unusual way, and then move through the list like that. So let's just say you're starting with eggs, okay? So you got to get eggs, and you need to get butter. Okay, so then you can picture in your mind like cracking open an egg and butter comes out. It's like an egg filled with butter. That's weird. The more unusual, the better. So then the next item on the list is salt, okay? So now let's take butter, and how do you combine that with salt? Well, imagine a salt grinder that, butter comes out of it. It's kind of weird. So then the next thing might be chicken. So how do you combine salt and chicken? Maybe a chicken shakes and salt comes off of it. The next item might be rolls or bread. So you can imagine slicing into a loaf of bread and a chicken comes out of it. The next item might be carrots. So you can imagine a loaf of bread with a stalk at the end of it, like a carrot, or Bugs Bunny eating on a loaf of bread instead of a carrot. Let's go with that. And next might be beans. So you can imagine opening a can of beans and there's a whole bunch of little baby carrots in it. The next one might be tortillas. And so how do you combine beans with tortillas? Well, just think of a taco, basically. So that's just a short list right there, but let's just go through it real quick. You got eggs, butter, salt, chicken, bread, carrots, beans, tortillas. So that's 7 things right there. And you can do it backwards. You got tortillas, beans, carrots, bread, chicken, salt, butter, and eggs. And I talked in the video about the memory palace trick, where people can keep a speech in mind, or again, like stand-up comics do this a lot. They keep all their bits in order by imagining walking through their house and seeing these different parts of the speech and parts of the routine as they walk through the house. Another way to do that, oh, by the way, it was Simonides, a Greek philosopher, speechwriter guy, I guess, who came up with that. But another version of that I've seen is actually moving down through your body. So whatever the first point that you're making could be, you can imagine, some funny thing on the top of your head, and then go down to your nose, mouth, larynx, shoulders, clavicle. I think then he went to hands and stomach and then butt. But I mean, those are like, you can go all the way down your body. If you have a whole bunch of different points, you can go all the way down to your toes. But the idea is, by associating in some weird way these different ideas that remind you of what's next in your speech, you can just kind of work your way down your body and keep things in order that way. Now you might think that's fine and dandy. You can remember objects that way, but how do you remember lists of, say, numbers and stuff like that? And you hear about people who can memorize entire decks of cards, shuffle decks of cards. Well, there's a way to do that by associating numbers and decks of cards with objects or letters. And this is something like the super memory champion type people have done over time, is they've associated 1 through 0 or 1 through 9, 0 through 9, whatever, the different digits with different letters. So let's say 1 is associated with S, 2 is associated with T, 3 is associated with M, and 4 is associated with D, right? So then you have S, T, M, D. So stereo mind. Then you can imagine somebody with a stereo in their brain or something like that. So that's one way to take numbers that you've already associated with letters, make words out of it, weird pictures that you remember, and then keep those numbers in alignment. That way you can remember them that way. Does this make any sense? But there are memory champions who have been able to memorize several dozen different decks of cards that have been shuffled, the order that they're in. And the way they do that is, again, this takes a lot of time, but they have over time been able to associate every one of the 52 cards in a deck with an object. And by doing that, so, like a king of clubs might be a hamburger, and, a jack of spades might be a glass of water or something like that, But by having that association narrowed down in their brain, then they can do that whole grocery list trick that I was talking about. And you can really do that forever. But it really speaks to the way that we're hardwired. If you are walking through a room, you can take a good look around, put on a blindfold, and then kind of have a basic idea of where everything is, assuming people don't move it around on you, which is kind of a dick move. But we are very spatially organized. Think of us as hunter-gatherers way back in the day. We needed to know how to find our way around more than we needed to know how to memorize numbers, which might not have even existed back then. So by taking more abstract concepts and tying them into things that are very real, and then getting abstract with them, you can, tie these things together in a memory system that really works well. I challenge you to sit down and write out a list of 25 different things, and then just take a couple of minutes to do that association thing and see what happens. Again, you'll be surprised. By taking that method and tweaking it and growing on it, you can really create an amazing memory. One that can work well in school, work well at your job, just impress people at parties kind of thing. So and the more you practice it, like anything else, the better you get at it until it becomes kind of natural. So I just thought I would pass that along. Thought it was interesting. Thought it was a nice little addendum to the synesthesia episode that I did. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for everything.